So I'll give them a little. I'll talk a little bit about why we don't have a guest. Um, Hi, I'm Ralph Preston, and every Tuesday, or most every Tuesday, we don't sometimes around big major holidays like Christmas and New Year's, we do have these get-togethers. Usually we have guests because a couple of things. I got tired of talking, and although any of you would be hard to convince you of that. Um, and but experts have knowledge beyond my knowledge base. So I try and get experts. And the reason we don't have one today is because there's a real slow ramp up. I took a couple weeks off for Thanksgiving. Well, we did take the Thanksgiving off also for Christmas and New Year's, and people get out of the habit. And so the last couple of years when I had a guest on the first week in January, like very few people showed up. So I figured I would just do something myself and save the guests for once people get back in. We do have a guest next week, and she's a physical therapist who works at a university and works at a gaming company, and she's an expert in using games. And this is not necessarily Fortnite. They're probably I haven't seen them yet. They're probably custom type games. She's got also the lead scientific officer or something at RX Gaming. And I got to check them out. I booked her. I made the graphics. She's next week. During this week is when I normally learn more about my guests so that I can talk intelligently when I need to talk. So we're gonna have Lynn Gauthier, French name, um, and next Tuesday, and so that should be interesting. And then I don't know, I don't have anybody the following week. I've been so darn busy with this Facebook groups. It's hard to book guests. I've got a list of 50 people to talk to, but that's another reason for the fundraiser. In addition to the classes, we want to hire an executive assistant to help us with some of the ranging guests and hey Keith, and post
What's up?
and posting stuff, and we're already working on getting some more admins and volunteers so I can get out from underneath Facebook. The groups have been growing a lot, which means I have to look at about 300 profiles a week to know whether to let people in or not. And it takes, sometimes it's quick. If I go and see they're a member of 11 other groups and I touch the 11 other groups and I see they're already in 4 Stroke Buddies groups, bam, approve. I don't even look at their profile anymore because if they're in our groups already, they're not causing trouble, then hey, let them in more. But otherwise, you got to go look and make sure that try and make sure they're not a spammer. Occasionally, people get by, but then we just kick them out. Uh, right now, we got this stuff going on with people from Southeast Asia, Indonesia, Malaysia, and the Philippines. They're doing. You've probably seen them in the groups. So these real generic questions. Can people get better from a stroke? That sort of thing. They're using the same graphics. It's what's it called? Something or other mining. Anyway, so I'm in the process of kicking them out. The thing about that is their posts get 5,000 views, and I post something with a scientist, and it gets less than 500 views. So they were called engagement posts, engagement farming, and they get something out of Facebook for all the people that click them. That's why the questions are so generic. And there's Linda Hughes.
Good
Welcome, Linda.
morning. Happy New Year, everyone.
Happy New Year.
Happy
All
New
right.
Year. Happy New Year, you.
So I decided the solution was for us to make our own engagement posts. We've been talking about it for a while, and then kick all them out. Well, I'm in the process of. I'm not letting. I declined somebody today who was obviously going to do that same thing, and I removed somebody who's been doing it. So anyway, here we are, 2026.
I'm late. What did they do, Ralph?
Oh, they do engagement for farming. They post these. You've probably seen it if you've been in the groups. Like,
Try to
well, I
get
get
you to
back.
join other groups?
No, we're gonna crack down on that too. I mean, here's the deal. If you have another group and you want people to come to your group, the very least you can do is provide some content that's useful to a stroke survivor. Write a little blurb about your experience or whatever.
Correct.
People who do that, I'm going to keep allowing them. The people who just I've already stopped with some, and I stopped with some 2 or 3 years ago. The people that just say join my group, they're trying to do is take our community and well, people don't leave groups. That's the other thing. Nobody who goes to another group's going to leave Stroke Buddies because of it. But the main reason I don't want them on there is I don't want you to come to a Stroke Buddies page and find nothing but memes and people saying join my group. I want you to come find scientists. I want you to come find other people who are asking real
And I
stroke
noticed too, a
questions.
lot of these people try to sell you all type of t-shirts and stuff
Not
like that.
not in any Stroke Buddies groups. Haven't
No,
had.
I know not in Stroke Buddies, but the other people who try to get you to join their groups.
Yeah, well, I mean, I haven't had a t-shirt post in about 2 years. And I haven't had well, I shouldn't be saying this because I know I'm gonna have them tomorrow. I haven't had a herbal doctor post in a while.
Oh yeah, I remember them.
Those people, the good ones or the bad ones, the ones who know what they're doing, have a program where they put their herbal doctor crap on the last 30 posts in your group. That's really annoying because I have to go get rid of them one at a time. Sometimes Facebook, I'll kick them out, and Facebook has an option to delete recent content. It works about little less than 50% of the time. So you got 30 comments out there that you want to get rid of. Well, guess what? When you go to their profile, it only shows you 3. And so you got to get rid of those 3, then go back and refresh their profile, get the next 3, go to all 30 posts and delete them one at a time. Takes half an hour.
Oh, okay.
And I got better things to do with my half hours. I could book a guest in a half an hour. I don't know what to do with Facebook. It's not what it used to be, but we got well, there are 55,000 people in the groups. We use 35,000 different people. Of course, some of them are 5 years old and they're not in it anymore, but we got thousands of people out there and I just don't want to walk away from them. Good morning, Denise. Welcome. Sorry, we're talking about other things. So let's do what we came here to do. So it's 2026. Around this time of year, whether you like it or not, whether you like New Year's or not, whether you like New Year's resolutions or not, and I hate them. If I'm going to change anything, I try and change it between Thanksgiving and Christmas or wait till middle of January. Okay, if we want to talk about the number one thing about meeting goals, your goal should not be to wake up Monday morning and change your diet, start exercising when you haven't been, start eating well when you've been eating crap. You're not going to turn into a plant-based vegetarian in one day. You're not going to start this giant exercise program at home and go to the gym and change your diet and be nice to your partner. And I mean, you set yourself up for failure if you try and change too much at once. I've always found like you kind of like slide into change, like a slide into third base. It's gradual, and you have a lot more success if you don't set the bar too high. Why? Because when you set the bar too high, you discourage yourself. So I think the secret to getting better is what I did, and other people do it. I didn't invent it or anything. Every day I set small, achievable goals. So and I wouldn't meet them. They weren't like, I didn't raise the bar. Like if you're doing push-ups and you finally get to 10 push-ups from 9, people have heard me say this before. What's your goal for tomorrow? Well, it can be 10, but you better be happy with 9 because that's what you've been doing. You may not be able to do 10 2 days in a row, or once you do it once, that doesn't mean you can repeat it forever. So if you don't say, "Oh, my goal tomorrow is 11 because I did 10 today." Oh, no, you're not likely to do that, you know? Stay on each step long enough to get your balance and move to the next step, if that analogy makes sense. You know, do 10 3 or 4 days in a row and go, all right, I got 10. Now it's 11. Come on, we're at 11. Don't get discouraged if you don't do 11 the next day or the next day. Just, you know, okay, I got to 10. I'm going to get to 11. And then when you get to 11, don't say 12. Do the same thing. You know, it's kind of like going up the steps. You know, give each foot enough time to make the next step. So we jumped all around because I tend to do that, and I jumped right into like how to achieve goals as opposed to talking to everybody about their achievements in 2025 and what their goals are for 2026. We can get back into the how to achieve them. That'll keep popping up. And everybody, if I call on everybody, you don't have to talk. I'm not necessarily going to call on everybody. If I called on everybody about what your 2025 achievements were, this is a pretty good group. But if you called on a bunch of, you know, we just grabbed some stroke survivors, you'd probably find half of them would say, well, I didn't accomplish much in 2025. And, you know, actually you do. One of the problems with stroke recovery is you tend to forget about how far you've come. And that's important. Not important not to do that.
Yes.
That's why we always recommend like taking videos, taking pictures. Because then you go through your phone and you find a picture from last March and you go, that's right, I was still in a wheelchair and I'm doing sit-to-stands now. You know, you have to like culture it. You have to look for it a little bit. You know, you can write down your achievements. I never had a problem with this because I have a memory. I don't know how they know that elephants have good memories. I guess because they recognize other herd members 50 years, 30 years later or whatever. There's ways, but I have a pretty good memory, so I'm able to do it inside myself. But there are a lot of techniques like writing things down, taking pictures, taking videos, talking to a partner. Your partner's going to notice it more than you. You know, if you have a partner, or friends, or your therapist will definitely recognize it. Hey, you might do a little poking around for to make sure you're in touch with the progress that you've actually made, rather than say, well, I don't know, not much, I don't think, you know, because that's the whole discouraged thing, trying to do an override on you. It's easy enough to get discouraged. We all know that. What do you do when you get discouraged? Not much. I mean, you can let it take over you, or you can try and fight back. I always try to fight back. When I didn't feel like doing my exercises, I just, closed my eyes, grit my teeth, and started. It's kind of like running. I used to be a runner, but no matter how much I ran, about every time I ran, for the first quarter or half a mile, my brain would go, why are we doing this? This isn't any fun. Let's not do this. This is too much work. But after you get into a groove, it actually feels good. And that whole feeling would go away. So I think stroke recovery can be like that. I found that if there are a couple times where I just was having an off day or didn't feel good physically as well as mentally. And once or twice I stopped halfway through. But generally I found that if I kept going, if I got up and said, I don't want to do this, and just started and kept going, that I got to a point where it felt more like a normal day, whatever the hell normal is. We could have a whole conversation about normal pre and post stroke. Well, first of all, even if you haven't had a stroke, what the hell is normal? But that's another discussion. So anybody, I'm not going to go around. I'm not going to make people talk. Anybody got anything that they can remember that they managed to achieve in 2025? Don't all speak
Yes,
at once
yes,
now.
I did.
Yeah.
Hang on, we'll let Bonnie go first, and then we'll come to you. I think it was Keith.
Okay.
My accomplishment for 2025 was my walking is really improving, but not much difference. But I noticed that I walk because I know I open my legs wider than normal instead of putting it so close together, so I can walk better. And it also helped me from falling. I noticed that because when I think I'm gonna fall, then I'm my feet is bigger, so it helped me a lot. So falling has really helped me from doing this walking business. Yeah.
Well, go ahead. I'm sorry. I thought you were done.
No, that's it.
Okay, well, a couple things. Anybody ever? I watch people. I mean, I did a wedding. What day is today? Tuesday, Sunday. I did a wedding, and there was a guy there who had back surgery. He gave me a ride home. As we walked out to the car, I watched his gait, and I told him a couple things. I'm always watching people walk. You ever watch like an 85-year-old man walk or an 85-year-old woman? They'll walk with a wider stance and they'll take small steps. By the way, that's a very good technique for when you're on like a hospital linoleum or tile floor that's really slippery, or you go to Home Depot and you got to go to the bathroom. This happened to me. Go to Home Depot for, I was in Tulsa, Oklahoma I went for Brooke. I was building something in her closet for her to walk. I go to Home Depot and the guy sets the mop down right as I get there. And he's got like, caution, wet floor signs. What do? You walk like an 85-year-old person, wide steps and short. That way you can't get as much weight out of kilter that way. The other thing you're doing there, and you may or may not know this, but that you're doing a bit of a, like what we call a John
John
Wayne monster walk, where you
Yep.
eventually walk extremely wide. And what that does is it forces you to put equal weight on both legs. We in the beginning you start doing that like da-doom step where you don't put any weight on that affected leg, and you get past that and you think you're doing good, but you're still not. You're still not bearing all that weight on that leg, and the little wider stance helps you be more even. So, so I think you're getting more that also as a benefit, and it's good of you to. That's crazy. I got a warning. I got a notification for something I did yesterday, and Marcus is completed. Anyway, you're getting more benefit out of that wider stance than you might realize, and it's good of you to be paying attention enough to your walking so that you know that you're making progress, because that'll tend to keep you from getting frustrated. Also, I've talked and helped you probably over 5 years now, and you do a pretty good job of, when you have issues, you try and solve them. You put your energy into trying to solve the issue rather than getting depressed about it. And that's a really important thing, because I mean, everybody in this room has ups and downs, right? I mean, I do. I mean, I don't care how far you are. I don't care if you have a stroke or not. Life has something. Life has ups and downs. So what they say, it's not how many times you fall, it's how many times you get up. You get up one more time, then you fall. Okay, Keith, I've talked enough. Go ahead.
No, I want somebody else to go because I'm
Oh,
stuck and I can't get in front of the camera. Yeah, I'm coming. I'm coming though. I want to say something, but I'm stuck right this second,
okay.
and I'm coming back.
Okay, well, I hope you're not stuck between a chair and the wall or something, but that's
No,
all
I
right.
can get out of it. I just was trying to hurry up and come back to the camera. It got stuck. Okay.
No
But
problem.
I'm here. I'm here. You all go ahead. I'm listening.
We'll be here when you're ready, and
Okay.
if you're ready.
Okay.
All right, anybody else got 2025?
I will go. I will go next. Hopefully my computer doesn't stall out or freeze. Sometimes it does that.
It
I
does.
am confused. I'm confused that like I had accomplishments. I had goals. I've done lots of things. I've moved forward. But there I'm confused with myself in terms of I can do things. I can exercise on my recumbent bike for half an hour. I can walk up the stairs with confidence, down the stairs with confidence. I wish
Good.
my hand would work more. So a goal is to to use my hand in everyday activities more. I find that what I'm confused about is that it feels to me like I go backwards. Even if I stop for a day, I'm 5 weeks backwards and I have to get up. And when you say fall and get up again, with me is if I even for a day do not do something, exercise something, stretch something, I'm falling so far behind that it's like, oh my goodness, why am I so weak? I thought I was doing so well. So there's a lot of things that happen mentally that we can talk ourselves out of into. I mean, it depends how you are in your mental space. So I'm confused in the sense that I should be moving forward, but I fall backwards and I'm weak. I'm so weak. And then I talked to my husband yesterday and I was talking about this. You have to remember, Mandy, that you've been really ill for 2 or 3 weeks. You've had company steady. You've had first the little family came, little girl came, and I wanted to do things with her. And then I got my nephew, our nephew, and 2 little boys for another week. And then I got sick. So I feel like I went just like a deflated balloon. So now is the first day of the rest of my life.
There you go. That's the right attitude. Two things real quick. About 10 minutes ago, I said you can turn to your partner because your partner has a different perspective. And you just gave us a really good example of how your partner is aware of stuff that, you know, you're not aware of. The other thing is, I think well, first of all, being sick for almost 3 weeks, that's a bit of a setback in a lot of ways. And if you can't do your therapy and your exercises and stuff, it's going to take you a week or two to dig out of that. And
Excuse me, I'm sorry, I gotta go. And I didn't want to be rude and just shut it
Oh.
off. So I gotta go somewhere. So
Okay.
everyone have a wonderful day.
All
And
right,
Happy New
Meryl.
Year's to all of y'all.
All right,
See you,
Meryl.
Marilyn.
Bye-bye.
You gave us that.
Bye.
Bye.
Mindy, you need to be kind to yourself. You're a strong, a strong person, and be aware of, like your husband was saying, like all the holidays and everything that's going on. Yes, it's okay to take a couple of days off,
Well,
and
she
then
was
you'll be
sick
all
for
right.
3 weeks.
Yeah, geez. On top of that, holidays being sick, you need to be a little bit more kind to yourself and be aware of that. Really, I do the same thing. I mean, like I'm always like, geez, I took 2 days off on the weekend because I wanted to watch football. Then after, when I get home on Sunday, it's like, oh, geez, did I just waste basically a day and a half of watching football? And
You're
I
kind
had
of
to
hard on
realize,
you.
like, you know what? I got through the holidays. Then I just said to myself, man, I got through the holidays and I
That's
made
an
it through.
accomplishment.
That is an accomplishment without like so much the
It's-
stress and all that stuff. All those things does matter because I got through the holidays and that's an accomplishment,
Yeah,
And
you
I
have
could
to
take
go
2 days,
ahead.
a day and a half off. I can do that.
Like you said, you have to remember to be kind to yourself. Give yourself some grace. Cut yourself some slack.
Yes,
I don't know, however
seriously.
you want to say it. The other thing is, and I'm not as presumptuous enough to think I know exactly what's going on with you, Mindy. So I'm going to talk in generalities. I think there's a little bit of, I think impatience comes into play here. This is a really long haul, and it's easy to get impatient. Um, Many, many, many times on the journey. And I think that when you're impatient, it's kind of like an overlay. It's kind of like putting on glasses, not rose-colored glasses. We've got a lot of things that have opposites, but what's the opposite of rose-colored glasses? I guess Linus with his dark cloud that follows him around. We tend to bring on a dark cloud to follow us around. And I think impatience has a lot to do with that. And also, Musong said something, worrying about, oh, did I blow it? Do I have to do this? If I don't do this, then am I not going to get better? There's that whole thing that we run in our heads. If I'm not perfect, if I don't do everything right, if I screw up, I'm going to screw this whole thing up. That's another version of being too hard on yourself. You know, my philosophy and theory, it worked for me. I can't say it works for everybody. It's just do the best you can, put your nose down, keep to it, cut yourself some slack when it's not working for you, and pick yourself back up and have at it the next time you feel good. I don't know. So
Yeah.
No, I think that's important. Yes.
yeah. And I think there's certain things like impatience that just get in the way. I mean, I was impatient. I mean, I don't know about all of you, but it could have gone quicker for me. And I did pretty good. I came out the end of the chute. Well, you never come out the total end of the tunnel, but and I found so I did 15 months and I was doing pretty good. And I was tired of all that therapy, so I just quit. I mean, I didn't quit living. I didn't quit walking on the greenway with my wife and things, certain things. And Mindy, your whole thing about using that hand in functional therapy, that's key. Now you got to get something going with it. If it's like a total claw, you can't wash the dishes with it. You can't pick up anything. But once you get something going where you got minor grip and stuff, the best thing you can do is use that hand all day because you're doing therapy and you're not really realizing that you're doing it. Well, yeah, you are in the beginning because it's real frustrating when that hand isn't working to use that hand to do things that you used to do so easily and you can do easily with your unaffected hand. But I applied the same kind of philosophy. When I got frustrated, I just said, okay, well, if you have to give up, but just keep trying. And normally I just kept trying and I would kind of get there. So,
One of the important places for me to go is I need to go back to the beginning in a sense of the stroke. More information about the stroke, about what happened to me. Those kind of soul searching at questions. I need to go back and reflect a bit more on how I was impacted. I'm not interested in regaining what my life as it used to be. I've come to terms and understand the amount of I that I am, and but I need to understand more about those philosophical what has happened to me and move forward, because it's more about exercising. It's more than becoming physically stronger. I realize that. With me, I am very focused on the mental capacity of my mind, how I'm doing mentally, how I feel emotionally, those kinds of things. So my package is all physically and mentally, and understanding my stroke with these groups and other groups really helped me to back up a little bit and come to terms more with, okay, I see where you are at, but this is where I'm at. So I have that to reflect a little more.
looking back and reflecting is good. You can't get too hung up in it, though, my opinion. Just there, you have to keep focused on the purpose that you look back and not get lost in the whole thing. I always
Yeah,
think
I'm not referring to the way I used to be. I'm referring to beginning of the stroke, what has really impacted me and how I could get better. So understanding of the stroke, of the brain, of the impact of that had on my body. That's what that's what I mean when I say going back. I have to go back to the beginning of the stroke, and what can I do, and what can I continue to do, that kind of thing. Understanding the brain. Holy, the brain is a big. Where's Martha? She's got a book on the brain.
I think she signed up, but I don't see her. Anyway, uh, uh,
What
lost.
you, Mindy, what you can do is go back and think about you were back in the hospital and start from there and take one exercise at a time. Don't complicate things. Do only one for the day and then slowly increase it if you're so mixed up, because you cannot think about it and think about it over and over. It's going to only confuse you more and more.
That's what I meant by, you got to be careful not to get too deep into it. You have to keep in touch with the purpose, the reason you're revisiting things.
Mhm.
Well, and I've been preaching forever. I couldn't put a date on it, a long time, 10 years or more, that it's really important to learn everything you can about the brain, neuroplasticity, how stroke works, how stroke recovery works. And that's the reason that we normally have guests, I mean, I've got a fair amount of knowledge, but all these experts bring us information that we don't necessarily know. Like next week, we have somebody who's going to talk about using gaming in stroke recovery, and you might go, "Well, that doesn't sound very interesting to me. I'm not a gamer or whatever. I don't have access to anything." But one of the things that she wrote up in her little talk is she's going to talk about how to make how to build neuroplasticity and make connections post-stroke. She's a physical therapist, so there's always something, even though something might not interest you 100%. These scientists and therapists and stuff have knowledge that we don't have, and
Yeah.
I say you got to learn everything you can about stroke. You got to learn everything you can about the brain. You got to learn everything you can about being a physical therapist, your own physical therapist, and you got to learn how to be your own best patient advocate. And you got to learn how to motivate yourself and stay motivated. And those are 5 huge things. And guess what? You get to do them all from a damn wheelchair, or when you're like, we're not at our best after a stroke. It's a lot to ask, but it's kind of like poker. Those are the cards that were dealt. You have a stroke, those are the cards you got. You can, in a poker game, you can sit there and wish you had a bunch of aces, but you don't. So what do you do in a poker game or any card game? You have to play the cards you get. This is really hard concept for people. Well, we all, I mean, I sound like I didn't go through some of the potholes or ditches or ruts or whatever, but I certainly did. I managed to have a couple of pity parties. I managed to unmotivate myself, but what I always tried to look at was what's causing this, and if I'm causing it, then I can do something about it to stop it or even reverse it. So yeah, that's a tall order. Doing all that at once while you're overwhelmed, you're
Yep.
upset at what happened to you. You got to get over. I mean, I've
I
said
just
this
wanted to
for
add something real quick. I think
sure.
post-stroke, Mindy, and I feel a lot of it because we've got to know each other pretty well, and I feel a lot of the things that you say. I think what I've become to realize, and a lot of people that I talk to or hear, is like we have such a vulnerable mind right now, and we're so critical about every aspect. We get anxiety about every little step. Oh, did I do that right? Did I do this wrong? How am I going to anticipate my next task or my next visit? Whatever the thing that is upcoming. I think we have such a vulnerable mind, and boy, I would say I personally think your mind is 80% of the battle, if not 90% of the battle. Seriously. And I'm so aware of every little criticism that and it's taken me 2.5 years to get there, but I get better at it every day, and I'm aware of everything that I'm saying, or thinking, every little aspect. And it just, yeah, does it bother you? And I try to like think to myself, I need to keep this simple. Don't overthink everything that you're doing. And that's, always been my problem. I'm always overthinking everything. And it's become more enhanced post stroke than more than ever. And I'm aware of that, but your mind just doesn't stop thinking. It just doesn't stop thinking. But you have to be aware of that too. So it's like once you've got one thing settled in your mind, something else is, pushing on that. So it's a constant reminder that you have to be aware of every little thing that's going on. Does it feel exhausting? Absolutely, it does.
Well,
But I'm still aware of it.
it's
Sorry
like a
about
lot of
cussing. Sorry
things.
about
You
that.
got to find the sweet spot or the balance point. It's
Yes,
a
exactly.
good thing to analyze things and to figure out what's going on with you. But if you get that meter too far over here, you're getting into the red zone, the drive yourself crazy zone. The overthinking. I'm an overthinker myself, and I had to deal with this. And the other thing you got to be careful of is the whole thing like of falling into the like you got a lot of chances. Every day's a chance. So you got to be careful of falling into the like, oh, if I don't do the right thing, then I'm screwed kind of thing. Sometimes
Yeah.
people don't do anything as a result of not knowing what to do or if it's the right thing. That's the worst thing you can do. If you're doing some kind of movement or whatever, some kind of exercise, even if it's not perfect, you're doing something. It's a lot better than if you get into the whole mindset of like, I don't know what to do, so I'm, and you half withdraw, or you're not, or you let that get to your motivation, and you don't always do what you can. It's back to the goal setting thing. You're not gonna march up. I used the stairs analogy earlier, but it's not like you're gonna march up the steps like you can once you get good with steps. There's setbacks, things like life gets in the way, holidays, sickness, things like that. You're going to experience a little dip. And earlier I was saying something about I did 15 months and stopped. After I continued to live life, I did functional therapy, I walked and stuff, but I found if I didn't do a certain amount of specific exercises, stuff with my legs, stuff with my hips and such, I noticed I started to regress slightly. I also found that I didn't have to do 10 or 12 hours a day to maintain what I'd gained. A couple of half-hour sessions a day would do it. Once you get over most of the hump, it's a lot easier to maintain it. The one thing again you don't want to do is beat up on yourself too much, because then you won't maintain it. So those are my thoughts.
Maintaining it's still an accomplishment.
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
It is. And
I mean, Mindy, when you look at things and go, wow, what did I accomplish? When you're in those thoughts, when you were talking earlier, you know what came to my mind when you were talking like that? I was like, geez, look how talented she is. The paintings that she does. I mean, that's incredible. Like I always had thought I was an artist. Shit, no, I'm not. Nothing like what you've done. Nothing, not even remotely close.
well,
So you gotta,
she learned how to paint with her left unaffected hand. Her brush hand is the one that was affected.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's what I
That's
mean.
a
Like
huge
that's
accomplishment.
even another layer of like
Right.
talent, you know?
Yeah, if Mindy, if you ever need to, figure out like that you're making progress, you just line up all the paintings you've done in a
No
year,
kidding.
or look at them on your Mindy Art or your Facebook page. Just go back and say, "Well, I did 6 really good paintings this year, and I lived." And what's one of the most important things in all this, and we haven't talked about this, is maybe you can say, "I'm happy." I think you probably can, because you said you resolved yourself to the fact you're not trying to rebuild that life before the stroke. You're trying to, what I say is, you're trying to be the best new me you can be, or the best new you can be.
Yeah.
I also tell
And
people, like people say, well, especially doctors and therapists, sometimes they'll go, well, what percentage would you say you've got your hand back? Or what percentage would you say your walking is back to the way it was before the stroke? I think that's a bad idea myself. I'll answer it with something that first seems snarky and that takes them back. I'll say, I don't know. That life's dead and
yeah.
gone. And I'm okay with that. I'm 100% in my new life because I'm
One more
trying.
thing I would add to that, Mindy, is like your cognition, to be able to do that, you got to think. To be able to plan out that painting, any paintings that you've done that was very meticulous, that patience and that cognition to be able to do that, that's a huge mental capacity for your strength of your mind. I mean, it's a pretty
Thank you.
big accomplishment. Yeah.
Thank you, Ms. Song. That's something you don't really think of often. Is your abilities or things like that nature, We don't give ourselves enough credit all around. So thank you for that.
Yeah.
One more thing. I don't know if you know this, Mindy, but art is. I took two, not several, several's three or more. I took two stroke survivors to an art therapy class put on by us for a stroke survivor who was an art teacher who had a stroke, and she wrote an autobiography called "Can I Paint in Heaven?" And we went to her art class, and art is one of the things, it's not as powerful as music, but it's one of those things that opens up connections in your brain. It's good for healing.
Yeah.
That's why Linda Weatherspoon is her name. That's why Linda was putting on a free art therapy class for stroke survivors. We actually she let in like other types of survivors. She let in basically anybody, but it was mostly stroke survivors because it does help with building connections. And I can't imagine sitting there and drawing all the hairs on a wolf or all the feathers on a owl.
Seriously.
There's no way in hell. It's funny, I would tell you, there's no way in hell I could do that, but I could go get pieces of jewelry. That I used to sit and make jewelry, and people would look at me and go, "How the hell can you do that? You sit there for 4 hours making something this big, and you can melt it at any point in time, just like you can ruin a painting in your mind. Of course, with a painting, you can, with jewelry, you just melt it down and sell it back to them. But it's frustrating when you're 3 hours into a 4-hour piece and you make a mistake and melt it, or have to go back an hour and take the bezel off and clean it all up and make a new one. And, so not getting frustrated in life is a big thing. And I think it becomes even bigger in stroke recovery because we're dealing with a lot more. We're dealing with regular life in addition to the whole stroke recovery thing. It's, we should steal Betty Davis's "Getting old is not for sissies. Having a stroke is not for sissies." You won't do well. Stubborn people do well. People who are good at knowing what their strengths and weaknesses are and playing into their strengths and trying to avoid their weaknesses are good at life, and all the things that make you good in life are just become all the more important in stroke recovery, I think. But my opinion in $5. I used to say, when I was a kid, people would say, "Yeah, well, my opinion in 10 cents will get you a cup of coffee." Now it's $5. So my opinion, $5 will get you a cup of coffee, because my opinion may or may not be worth anything. Depends on how you look at it. So, and we were talking about maintenance and stuff. So I'll go first with 2026. One of my goals is I do between 3,000 and 6,000 steps in normal life, and that's okay. Some people say 10,000. Hell, John Loomis, because he works in a big box store, I think he averaged 20,000 steps last year, every 365 days. He has 30,000 step days. I don't know if that's necessary, but a certain amount is. And I haven't been doing what I call intentional walking. Of course, it's winter. It's winter in South Carolina, nothing like Mindy's winter, but we all know we don't do as well in winter. I got a treadmill. I need, in 2026, I need to do more of basic maintenance. I need to do a little bit more on my hip, and I need to get back to intentional walking, especially if I want to travel, because if I want to go to Costa Rica and go on a bird walk and a butterfly walk and a waterfall walk, I better be able to do it, or else I've wasted money. And I don't really want to hold anybody back. Like, I don't want to be like too far behind everybody. I don't want the whole group having to wait on me. So those are my goals, to get It's kind of like what you're talking about, Mindy. I need to go back a little bit and get back to some of the things that were working for me earlier in my recovery that I've let go of. And, I can sit here and tell you I got a good reason because I'm running 30 Facebook groups and YouTube channel and Zoom meetings and trying to have a life and listen to music, and I cook all my own meals and all that, but all that's irrelevant because at the end of the day, no matter what I got, no matter what I have to do, I have to allow some time and put some effort into the things that are important to me. So if these things are important to me in 2026, I have to figure out some way to let go of something else or prioritize these or whatever it takes to build it into the program. That's why I said in the very beginning, you don't want to try and change 8 things, on tomorrow because it's not going to work. It's hard enough to change one thing at a time. Now, I'm not saying you can't work on more than one thing at a time, but just don't think that you're going to make major changes. Like if you want to change your diet and you don't know much about whole foods or plant-based or vegetarianism or keto diet, I'm not a big keto fan, or Mediterranean diet, let me say, or whatever, you got to learn a little bit. And if you're preparing your own meals, you got to learn how to cook them. So it's not a process that you can, I guess you could call up and buy some $12 a night dinners from one of these these food services. The food looks great and it's a great idea, but my God, when I check into them, I'm going, this costs like 5, 6, 7 times what I pay for a meal. I make a meal for a dinner for between $2 and $3. And most of these meals are $10 or $12 per serving. You order one of their packages, yeah, they give you half off. It's only $120. That means it's going to be $240 a week for like 6 lunches and 6 dinners. No, I'll go to the grocery store and make my own. You still have to prepare some of them. They just chop all the ingredients and you put them together. I think it's a great idea, but pricing in the whole world, and we won't get political and we won't get into all that, but we all have seen what's happened to pricing of everything lately. So it's not working to help that whole industry. Although there seem to be plenty of people who got money for Ubers and $5 coffees and $80,000 cars and whatever. I don't know where they're getting it from. Every time I see a young couple with an infant starting out and they buy a $700,000 house, I think about the struggle I had buying a $40,000 house. Now, my house would be worth a lot more than 40, but it wouldn't be worth $800,000 or something. I don't know where some of these people are getting all this money from. I wish I did. I'd go dip some money out of the money pool. Not I'm hurting, but I'd dip some out for stroke buddies. I hate asking people for donations. It's really not my thing. I've never asked anybody for anything. I didn't go to college. I wouldn't take any money from my father. I was done with my dad after I graduated high school. I didn't want him telling me what to do, and anything with money and my dad involved strings, and I cut the strings. I moved out of my house the day after I graduated high school. So I never asked him for a loan. I went to the bank, and I don't like asking people for help.
I don't either. I like to just do it myself.
Yeah. Well, that's the other thing about getting volunteers and stuff, like, to help with what I'm doing. I'm in a situation where I'm doing too much stuff that could be done by other people, and I haven't made an exercise video in a year. Of course, I wrote to Dr. Monahan. He was a guest we had. This guy was great.
He was pretty good.
He was real good. Musung, he and I have the same kind of philosophy. He really liked my videos, and we talked about doing some videos together. He's just doing a thing on stretching. this would be interesting because some people, there are physical therapists like Henry Hoffman of Sabo, the owner of Sabo, for one, doesn't believe in stretching. I think he's wrong, but he's got the degree. You know what? I got a degree that he doesn't have. I had a stroke. He doesn't know what he's talking about in terms of
Right.
this being side of it. Just as much as I might not know the book learning from his side. The other thing is, I have a friend here locally, my friend John, who's an OT. He and Mitch and I have done a few things, John Kanaka. John worked for him for a long time, and he told me that I'm not here to, I should shut up because this is, well, I'm putting it on YouTube Live, but it'll go away. And who knows if anybody's there. I don't like to record things where I'm talking about other people shouldn't be. But he doesn't spend any time in the clinic. John's been in the, John works at a hospital as an OT. Anyway, so it'd be interesting because of the whole debate about stretching. Now we got like Lisette, the Dutch girl, Verhoeven, who helps in our fitness group. She's a big believer in stretching. She'll come back every time, but she's talking from personal experience. So I was just seeing some things go by during this meeting about it's important to stretch each finger. We're helping all these people on Discord. I don't know why people didn't go over to Discord. We got 150 people over there. We had 3,000 people in the other chats. Hey, Mercer. We had 3,000 people in the other chats, and they all wanted the chats to continue. We made them continue. But anyway, the people over at Discord are getting me and Lucette. They're getting personal one-on-one therapy over there. We drop videos. We answer every question. We wouldn't be able to do that for 3,000 people over there. Anyway, if you're looking to chat with other folks and on a number of subjects, we've got a bunch going on there. Anyway, I'm not here to recruit people to Discord. I've been a little disappointed in the whole thing. It took some work on my part, and would I have not done it if I knew that it was going to turn out like this? Probably not. I probably would have done it anyway. Doesn't hurt.
You didn't really have a choice, though.
Hmm?
You really didn't have a choice.
Well, I had a lot of people clamoring for it and hammering on me, and guess what?
Yeah.
None of them joined.
Yeah.
Why is it always like this? I don't get it. The people that want it the most, every week on Am I Okay, we got 2 or 3 people who go, oh, well, I've been looking for something like this. I'll see you on Thursday. I never see any of them. That's not true. In the last 3 years, I've seen maybe 5 or 10 of them who said that come over. We've had probably 5 times that, and new people just found it, didn't say anything, just showed up. Anyway, you know, in what I do, you got to be careful not to take it personally. I've had to get over all that. It's not a reflection on me.
Absolutely not.
It's a reflection on them. So I just, Energizer Bunny, as long as the batteries are going, and when we need to change batteries, we change them out. I just keep beating that drum.
Yeah, I got you.
Persistence will go, stubbornness and persistence will go a long way in stroke recovery.
Yes, well, I try to be persistent, and some people take that as, oh, you just doing too much. Because of me being the way I am, me being sick, and some people think, oh, you just doing too much. Because, like, I have a lot of projects and stuff that I'm doing, and a lot of people are just saying, you should wait it out. You do too much. You should wait it out. And I'm like, well, what if you wait and it's too late? I mean, I don't want to be sitting on my hands. I want to just get there, put that all out there, because I got a million things that I'm going to do.
Yeah, well, that's like, you want to go somewhere and you go out and sit in the car in the driveway, instead of,
Yeah,
driving over there. Yeah, you're not going to get anywhere, in my opinion, by waiting. There is such a thing as spontaneous healing. Um, the brain will continue to get better. If you sat in a wheelchair and didn't try and do anything, but you try and live life, you'll slowly get better. But that wasn't good.
yeah,
It wasn't good enough for me. Um,
yeah,
being stubborn and being persistent are important. I'm sure some of you have heard me say this before. I had two doctors. The first two doctors I had, well, I had three doctors in the rehab hospital, and I heard from two of them first, and they both said, you could end up stuck in that wheelchair. I didn't like that at all. The third
yeah.
one, right before I was getting ready to leave, the day before I was getting ready to leave, I bumped into the third doctor, and I don't remember what brought it up, but he said, I think you might be one of those people that's going to make it. And I said, what are you basing that on? Because the other two doctors told me I might end up in this wheelchair, and I didn't like that. And he said, you're stubborn.
Okay.
I said, oh, you noticed? He said, oh, yeah. I said, well, Doc, I'm way beyond stubborn. I actually said this to him. I'm pig-headed about things. I'm just, and that served me well because I went home and I was stubborn about it. What was I describing earlier about some days when I didn't feel like doing it? I just said, okay, put the nose back on the grindstone, blinders on,
Yeah.
just start Energizer Bunny, just start pounding that drum.
Exactly. Exactly. I try to do that all the time for the most part because you only got one life to live and you need to live it up. Don't just sit down and not do nothing. I mean, don't get me wrong, I'm not going 150 miles an hour. I'm going maybe 100. I'm gonna tap it down just a little bit, but I mean, I'm just living my life. Who says that a person in a wheelchair can't do certain things? Who said, name me one person that said who can't do it? Because I do pretty much for the most part everything
Well,
except for walking and driving.
within the limits of physics, gravity, and science, we're the ones who determine what we're able and what we're capable of doing by trying and by doing it. You got to be careful not to listen to the doctors who tell you might not get out of that wheelchair. The expression wasn't around at the time, but my answer to them, my attitude was basically, "Oh yeah, hold my beer."
Yeah, I know, right? And if it's something at the top of the cabinet, I'm the one that's trying to stand up and go get it. No wonder I'm holding on to something, but I'm trying to get it. I'm trying to go get it.
When you were talking about waiting before, while you're waiting, guess what? That's your life that's going by you.
Yeah, yeah,
It's not somebody else's life going by you. That's your life.
exactly,
You're letting go of
exactly.
your life and your possibilities.
Yeah, I'm trying to be a doer. I'd rather do everything myself because you just can't really depend on people like that. To be honest with anything worth doing is worth doing right. So, I mean, hey, it is what it is. I want to do it my way. I guess I'm being stubborn. They call it bullheaded.
All right. Well, um, Dr. McDonald asked for a 12:30 meeting, so we got about 10 more minutes. So
Oh,
I don't want to, normally I let things go forever, but I mean, he's an on-call neurologist and business owner and he's contributed to our stroke community by coming on Tuesdays. And so when I said, sure, we could finish by 12:30. So I don't want to monopolize the rest of the time myself. So anybody, anything that we want to talk, other people want to talk about, that's fine. And what anybody else want to talk about their goals for 2026? No, we're not going to come back in December and say, well, did you make it, and hold you accountable? I mean, accountability is a good thing, and accountability partners are great, but I don't see. I'm not preachy, so I'm not going to like to have everybody set a goal for 2026 and then come back and see if we made them or not. Because if you didn't, then that wouldn't be good. But most people would probably at least have made progress towards their goal. Anyway, what else does anybody else want to talk about in the time we've got left? Don't all speak at once now. Okay. See, I knew if I said something like that, it would probably kill the meeting, and it pretty much did. People are
There'll be
messy.
other meetings. There'll be other meetings, Ralph. That we get something the next time. It's fine. It's totally fine.
I mean, I live by my own philosophy. I just do the best job I can, and I don't fret about it. I don't fret about being perfect. I used to have real problems with trying to be perfect about everything. And you know what? I realized that you can do 98% of perfect in half the time, and the other 2% takes as much as the first 98. That's a generalization, but there's like what do they call it? Not the return on investment, crap. I hate that. So, because I'm 75 now, I think, oh, I'm losing my memory or something, but it happened to me when I was 20. Law of diminishing returns. See, whenever you can't think of something, just stop trying to think about it, and it'll pop right in. When you try and be perfect, the law of diminishing returns goes into effect. That means that you can, like you can accomplish most of it in a lot less time than all of it. So I've learned to give up on that other 2%. It doesn't really matter in terms of people out there can't measure it. They don't know about it. It's all inside my head, and it really doesn't matter. And that's been not only a time saver, but it was one of those things where I did beat up on myself if I wasn't perfect, and so I've stopped that. Beating up on yourself never does any good. Never, ever, ever. Now, sometimes it leads to realization and change, but if you can get to the realization and change without too much beating on yourself, I think that's a good thing. So,
Yeah.
Well, I'm going to go ahead and end it over on
Ouch.
YouTube, and we can keep talking. And I don't know if anybody ever showed up over there. I guess I got numbers. Whoops. And 8 people, 2 at one time, 1 like, average.